and let us all do we can to build a better future.
It's really pathetic seeing dime store version Eminem, Mild Malinsky, Kyle Kulinski, decide to go on the attack and basically making the accusation and the slander that Dr. Cornell West is a tool and a puppet for Republicans. Now, it is interesting to see this because it's the same Kyle Kulinski who, in some occasions back in 2016 and a little bit in 2020, would, indicate, hey, third parties do have some legitimate power, right? But hey, people change. People do change their opinions, but it's interesting now seeing Kyle Kulinski click, copy, and paste all the smear tactics and articles and statements and talking points that Democrats and liberals use against, well, third parties. So it took me a while to sit through the entire video. So I'm just going to first show you guys just a couple of snippets and then the video in its full entirety. Look, the fact that Kyle has the audacity to say that Dr. Cornel West is a puppet for the Republicans shows really how intertwined he is with the Democratic Party, voting for Democrats, and shaming anyone that wants to think for themselves. Now, here's the thing. Because you, my viewing audience, I will encourage you to vote however you feel like, okay? I'm not going to sit here on this platform and tell you how to vote. Now, I've told you how I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote third party, and I've given my reasons why. I believe that both parties are inherently corrupt. And I am proud to have a very diverse audience. Yes, I have conservatives watch my show, even Democrats, third party people as well. At the end of the day, this election that's going to be coming up in 2024, it's your choice. But I personally feel now is the time to rise and support third parties and independents. It needs to be done. The DNC and RNC, they don't like you. They don't think about you. They don't respect you. But I will not say ever on this show that voting third party means that you are a tool for the Democrats or a tool for the Republicans. Because guess what? A vote for a Green Party candidate is a vote for a Green Party candidate. A vote for a Libertarian Party candidate is a vote for a Libertarian Party candidate. A vote for a Republican is a vote for a Republican. A vote for a Democrat is a vote for a Democrat. Case in point, you, the voter, are going to make that decision because you feel certain candidates earned your vote. And that's how it works. Now, it is not my fault and it is not your fault that the Biden-Harris administration failed to follow through with their promises. It is not my fault that AOC and Bernie never took the initiative to, quote unquote, hold Biden's feet to the fire and push him left, because they never did that. It is not my fault that the squad and the Democrats abandoned us during the Forced to Vote movement or the March for Medicare for All, or the 3-day General Strike Summit meeting, or the fight for $15, all took place in 2021. It is not my fault or your fault that the Democrats abandoned us. And it is not your fault and it is not my fault that the Democrats are still implementing a lot of Trump's foreign and domestic policies. You see, the Democrats got into power because they bullied people. They successfully bullied people. They made people feel ashamed of themselves. They made people feel that it's wrong to vote third party. Well, guess what? I know what to expect from a Trump presidency. No, I don't want to see that man get elected. I never wanted to see him get elected in the first place. But it is also not my fault and it's not your fault that, unlike the Democrats, Donald Trump has been able to keep his base motivated and willing to fight. So why would I want to stick my neck out for a party, an institution that already rigs its primaries, cheats at any point in time during the primary? So what am I going to do? I'm not going to vote Republican. I am going to look for an alternative, and that means third parties. And I believe we need to support third parties. I believe that we need to have another choice here. I'm not just going to give up and say, oh, we live in a two-party system. We live in a two-party system. No, that's what Kyle Kulinski wants you to think. So here's just a couple of clips that I would like to share with some of you. This is from Dirtbag Left 1. Had to sit through this and watch this a couple of times because it was just difficult to sit through. These are just a few snippets before we play a more longer clip of this. But again, folks, Kyle, what you on? What's in that hair gel? Let's watch this.
Minorities and African Americans, Hispanic Americans, why are they still continuing to vote in large numbers in the Democratic Party?
Because they're a trillion times better than Republicans, and we have a two-party system. We don't have ranked choice voting. We still have first past the post voting. So either the Republican or the Democrat is going to win, and minority communities have accurately come to the conclusion, oh, the Democrats are just way better. They're just way better. Like 98% of the Republican Party wants to cut Social Security, wants to cut Medicare, wants to cut Medicaid, and the Democrats don't. Some of them do, but the overwhelming majority of them don't. So maybe that's why. Maybe because they're better on a lot of substantive issues. Now, that's not to say they're good. That's not to say they're perfect. They're far from it. But if you do an objective empirical analysis as to whose policies help regular working class people of color more, it's not close. It's not close. So that's why, Sean, that's why.
My brain cells died. I think this might be the beginning of the end of old Kit Kat getting dementia. So there we go. So looking at the data of how Democrats are good for, I guess, black people, minorities. Okay, let's look at the Democrats' track record. All right. Well, during the Clinton administration, there was this little thing. Small, it doesn't really matter that much, but you know, it was a thing called the crimes bill. You know, the crime bill. A guy named Joe Biden wrote that, and was supported by then president. And you get this, I hope you're sitting down. He was a Democrat. His name was Bill Clinton. Now, surprisingly, that crime bill made things inherently terrible for communities, black communities, Latino communities, hell, working class communities across the board. Made things terrible for everybody. It gave the rise to the prison industrial complex. That was done by the Democrats. And, you know, and even when the Democrats are given a super freaking majority, like case in point, this year, 2008, you know, in this year, this happened in 2008, Democrats had a super majority. You think they would, you know, codify Roe v. Wade? You think they'd do something for Medicare for all or affordable health care? And they didn't. They just gave us Obamacare, which is really Romney care. And Obama led us from 2 wars to 7. Obama, the Democrat, said it wasn't really important to do anything to protect a woman's right to choose. Obama got rid of habeas corpus. Obama and his administration were also responsible for, well, going after more whistleblowers and journalists than any other administration at the time. Oh, and you're not going to believe this, but his vice president was this guy named Biden. So looking at the data, you know, it's kind of shocking. Kind of shocking how the Democrats really don't have follow through. They say that they care because they're really good liars, Kyle. Hey, everyone, let's have democracy in the chat. I know, controversial statement. What is democracy? What is democracy? Type 1 if you think the Democrats are perfect and they are better on the social issues and really help out people, all communities, because they're great at it. And they always have follow through. Type 2, no, the Democrats are professional liars and they're just as bad as the Republicans. I wonder how the audience will vote. I wonder how all of you will vote. So I want to pull up another video. And again, I apologize for putting you all through this, but it's enough to enrage anybody. Here's where he calls Dr. Cornell West a useful tool for the Republicans.
You are a useful tool for the right if all you do is go on Fox News and all you do is bash Democrats. Because there's a difference between what your politics are nominally, which is the label you give yourself, versus what you are effectively, which means how does your political commentary impact people in your audience or people who are listening to you, right? And you can go on with all the best intentions in the world. And I'm an ardent lefty, right? And I'm going to defend my lefty principles. But in the process of defending your...
So look, I'm just going to say this about Fox News. All right. They're just as bad as, CNN or MSNBC, but the only difference is that Fox News actually has an audience. Also, again, I don't see CNN CNN did have Dr. Cornell West on, but I don't see CNN or MSNBC having other leftists or progressives on their platforms. They constantly smear them from their ivory towers, but that's about it. But they're never, ever going to have somebody like Jimmy Dore on MSNBC or Tulsi Gabbard on CNN. And even then, when Dr. Cornel West, let's say when Dr. Cornel West does show up on MSNBC or CNN, they're always quick to tell him, well, wait, aren't you going to be a spoiler candidate? How could you say that about Biden? Will you drop out and end your campaign and endorse Biden? That's all what they're asking him. Why are you running? Are you a spoiler? Will you endorse Biden? That's all what CNN and MSNBC are going to ask him. Please endorse Biden. Because everybody knows, including all the big-brained journalists, talent at those two outlets, MSNBC and CNN, they all know that old man Biden is a struggling. He's a stuttering. He's a stammering. Kyle, listen, buddy. I know you're upset that Marianne Williamson's ship is sinking, and that it's finally been revealed that her entire campaign is nothing but promoting her oh-so-fantastic book. But, dude, stop being big mad about Dr. Cornel West taking the wind out of Marianne Williamson's sails, okay? It's over for her. Buddy, you got to tell her to wrap it up, okay? I know you're hurt. I know you're crying, but take it easy.
Lefty principles, all you do is beat up on Democrats. Well, you might nominally be a lefty, but effectively, you're just telling a right-wing audience what they want to hear and feeding into their narrative and into their delusion that Republicans are better than Democrats, even if you don't believe Republicans are better than Democrats. But if 100% of your criticisms are just against Democrats, that's what people are going to hear, whether or not it's what you mean. So you have to be very aware of not just what your nominal political label is, but what your effective political label is.
So what he's telling you is, shut up and follow orders. Don't talk bad about the Democrats. When you listen to Dr. Cornel West, he's telling the truth, okay? But at the same time, too, he calls out the Republican Party. But at this point, what else can be said about Republican politicians that hasn't been said already? What else can be said? It's easy to criticize Republicans. It's easy to do that. We know what to expect from Republican lawmakers. They're never going to fight for Medicare for all or student debt forgiveness or anything else of that nature. They're never going to do that. So the reason why I have been critical of Democrats and a lot of other people have been critical of Democrats is because the Democrats have been allowing this system to continue on, and they're supposed to be the opposition to the Republicans, but yet nothing is fundamentally changing. In fact, it's getting progressively worse. Kyle, you got to wake up, get unplugged.
Where, what kind of an audience are you attracting? Who are you making not along an agreement? You don't want there to be misunderstandings about what you actually believe and who you actually support. And if you just go on Fox News and just beat up on Democrats, people are going to get the misimpression you're sort of de facto defending the Republicans, or at the very least saying they're a lesser evil. Well,
no, he's not saying that. And yes, I do have that segment where Dr. Cornel West is on Sean Hannity's show. And yes, we will be playing it.
Credit to Cornel West, because honestly, this is an issue. A lot of lefties fall into this trap. They do. Yeah, I'm a nominal lefty, but all I do is beat up on Democrats. So effectively, I'm serving what the right wing want.
No. Because I'll be critical of the Republican Party. The Republican Party is just as corrupt as the Democratic Party. But if you want to watch a show where people are just trashing the Republican Party, go watch TYT. Go watch Kyle Kulinski. Go watch David Pakman. Go watch Majority Report. They'll be talking about Republican lawmakers till the cows come home. But what about the Democrats? What about them who have allowed the system to continue on? Who have constantly supported Republican policies? That's right. The Democrats have done that. So I will be critical of the Democratic Party because they're supposed to be the opposition in theory, but they're not. They're playing along with the game. It's one big club, and you ain't in it. I want to pull up the rest of this. And again, we might be playing some clips that have already been seen before, but I'm just going to play just a few more extra minutes of this because this was difficult to sit through.
Been a while, my brother. I love when you call me Brother Sean. You're always welcome to do so. You are saying that Biden committed crimes against humanity against Black Americans, and you said his record on race issues, and you called out the Democratic Party's history. Let me ask you this. Why overwhelmingly do minorities and African Americans, Hispanic Americans, why are they still continuing to vote in large numbers in the Democratic Party?
Because they're a trillion times better than Republicans, and we have a two-party system.
No, Kyle. No. They're not a trillion times better. All right. Just want to just throw that out there again. Okay. The Democrats have never followed through with anything. Okay. And let's look what's happening under this administration. Okay. Rise of inflation. Again, nothing about student debt forgiveness, nothing for Medicare for all. We're stuck in this ridiculous war in Ukraine. The kids are still in cages, Kyle. You do know that, right? You see AOC getting everybody to do a little protest down south of the border? Yeah, probably not.
We don't have ranked choice voting. We still have first past the post voting. So either the Republican or the Democrat is going to win. And minority communities have accurately come to the conclusion, oh, the Democrats are just way better. They're just way better. Like 98% of the Republican Party wants to cut Social Security, wants to cut Medicare, wants to cut Medicaid, and the Democrats don't. Some of them do, but the overwhelming majority of them don't. So maybe that's why. Maybe because they're better on a lot of substantive issues. Now, that's not to say they're good. That's not to say they're perfect. They're far from it. But if you do an objective empirical analysis as to whose policies help regular working class people of color more, it's not close. It's not close. So that's why, Sean, that's why they do it. Jesus Christ. And again, there was a political realignment where all those open Southern racists are now with the Republicans. So minority communities.
And gee, I guess the Democrats don't have anybody who's questionable in their party. Hey, our current president, Joe Biden, gee, he worked with Republican segregationists. He didn't want his white kids to be in a jungle with all those black kids. No, those are his words. He was against busing and desegregation. Boy, he was really against the civil rights movement, and he was really good friends with this senator. You might not have heard of him, Strom Thurmond, gave a eulogy. That Strom Thurmond guy, though, to the core, straight up racist.
Were like, I'm going to go ahead and not throw my lot in with the people who are still massively openly racist against minorities. Okay, let's continue.
By the way, again, Kyle has that privilege of sitting in his nice little ivory tower with his little wifey to look down at us and say, hey, I know better than you. You all have to vote Democrat because we don't want Trump again. Kyle, it is not our fault that the Democrats keep on crapping the bed. It is not my fault that the entire DNC has irritable bowel syndrome, okay? If they want to keep on crapping the bed, that's on them. But that doesn't mean I have to associate myself as a Democratic Party. And yes, even if I got invited to Fox News, of course, I'd be talking crap about the Democratic Party. But you better believe I'll be talking about the Republican Party because it's one big club. Hey, this might offend diehard Republican voters, but did you know that Donald Trump used to be a Democrat and that he was really, really, really good friends with the Clintons? He gave money to a lot of Democratic politicians. And how could we ever forget Donald Trump's first, and I think really his most eye-opening statement during 2016 that literally flew over everyone's heads, especially during the first Republican primary debate, where, again, the talk of money in politics was brought up. Trump said these words about money in politics. I give these people money, and they do what I say. And when the moderator asked the other Republican candidates, has Trump given them money? They all raised their hand. But see, if we just rewind time, Donald Trump also gave money to those Democratic politicians. He gave those Democratic politicians money, and they did what he said. Now looking back at it, there was this person named Hillary Clinton who was a U.S. senator and a Democrat. And she was a senator in the great state of New York. I wonder, Did Donald Trump give her money? And did she do what he said to? The answer might surprise you. And by the way, to offend the vote blue no matter who, people, old Hillary Clinton used to be a Goldwater girl. Now we all change, we all grow. But the Democratic Party and Republican Party, there really isn't a difference. It's just one party knows how to lie and say, oh, we care about black people. Oh, we care about the kids in cages. Oh, we care about a woman's right to choose. And like any abusive partner, they say things you want to hear, and then you get the fist to the jaw.
Well, one is I think more and more fellow citizens are reaching the conclusion that the whole system is so rotten, brother. You got both parties that are so corrupt with politicians who are tied to big money. This is true for Republicans. It's true for Democrats. You were talking about Brother Trump himself and Biden's connection to Stennis, Biden's connection to Thurman. We know Brother Trump's, his own father has been tied to the Klan. Trump's language about black people.
Hold on a second. I've never heard his father.
Racism cuts.
Professor, I've never heard that allegation. Never once.
Of Trump,
now, I know Joe Biden said he didn't want our schools to be integrated in biracial jungles.
So this is a show going. Cornell West, you're going off script. You're going off script. Don't attack Republicans, please. Don't attack that. Don't attack Trump. I've never heard that. I've never heard that. It reminds me of when the debate was happening and Trump was like, "Tiny hands. I never heard that before. I don't even know what you're talking about." In 1927, Donald Trump's father was arrested after a Klan riot in Queens, and they go on to explain, he was very likely.
By the way, just so you know, again, when the KKK was around, it did have a lot of members of the Democratic Party associated with them. Again, if you really look in the history of the Democratic Party as a whole, it's extremely questionable. But side note, the Democratic Party never really changed. This whole idea of when Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, that somehow there was this great big shift and the Democrats all of a sudden became progressive. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They just got a new script and they had to memorize their lines very good to trick people into supporting them.
One of the Klansmen who was marching. So Cornell West went on and he didn't really play their game, right? Like he does do the thing about, both parties are corrupt. That's true, right? I would argue one is more corrupt than the other, but okay, fair enough. Both parties are corrupt. And then he's like, but Trump, the guy you love the most, he actually might even have a worse history on this stuff. And by the way, I'm going to get to more on that in just a second, but let's listen again.
We know Brother Trump's, his own father has been tied to the Klan. Trump's language about black people.
Hold on a second. I've never heard his father.
Racism cuts.
Professor, I've never heard that allegation.
You're going off script. You're going off script. Just attack Biden. Just attack Democrats. What are you doing?
Now, I know Joe Biden said he didn't want our schools to be integrated in biracial jungles.
No, my brother, you got to do the. We won't go into all of that now, but I'm not going to say the son has to take responsibility as the father. Oh no, we have empirical evidence of that in terms of not just how he treated black people in Queens, but also the fact that he took him to Klan rallies. But this is in the history. But we're not talking about his father. God bless his soul. We're talking about Trump himself. Look, for example, the brother Yusuf Salaam. Yusuf Salaam was one of the Central Park of young brothers who was taken to jail. I was blessed to support him. I live in Harlem. He's now my councilman. What did Brother Trump say about Brother Yusuf? Death penalty,
you made your
not even a fair trial. I want a fair trial for Trump. I want a fair trial for Trump. Did he want a fair trial for that black brother? No, that's his racism too.
Oh, he went off script here, and I'm loving it.
Okay, so yeah, he's loving it, right? But again, look, it's real easy for people to go after Trump. I know what to expect from Trump, okay? The man is a flawed human being. But at this point, you got to look at the main problem. That is a guy named Joe Biden. We're going to fast forward just a little bit here. Because, there's only so much more I can handle of good old Kyle being Kyle.
Who was taken to jail. I was blessed to support him. I live in Harlem. He's now my councilman. What did Brother Trump say about Brother Yusuf? Death penalty,
you made your
not even a fair trial. I want a fair trial for Trump. I want a fair trial for Trump. Did he want a fair trial for that black brother? No, that's his racism too. It cuts across the board, Brother Sean.
You're talking to the wrong person here. I don't rush to judgment. I'm the one that says everyone's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. You said that black Americans are not a priority for Joe Biden.
See, so he just tries to go right back.
Well, no. It's kind of true about Joe Biden. It is true. I think obviously Fox News, of course, does have its bias. Yes, it's true. But again, in comparison to Donald Trump and Joe Biden, they're both the same.
Okay. I know you just hit me with like 4 very substantive 2016. This is in September of 2016. And this came up because Hillary brought it up in a debate. And this is something she was right about. During the presidential debate on Monday night, Hillary Clinton raised a 1973 federal lawsuit brought against Donald Trump and his company for alleged racial discrimination.
All right. Enough listening to Kyle. He's just big mad and wants to think, everyone's a useful tool for the Republican Party if you're going to be supporting third parties. He wants to be that fool that tells you, oh, you gotta be part of the system. You gotta trust the Democrats. We just gotta hold their feet to the fire. So let's listen to the full interview that Dr. Cornell West had with Sean Hannity. Let's check it out.
My friend.
Oh, indeed. I appreciate you having me back, and hope you and your family are doing all right. It's been a while, my brother.
I love when you call me Brother Sean. You're always welcome to do so. You are saying that Biden committed crimes against humanity against Black Americans, and you said his record on race issues, and you called out the Democratic Party's history. Let me ask you this. Why overwhelmingly do minorities and African Americans, Hispanic Americans, why are they still continuing to vote in large numbers in the Democratic Party?
Well, one is I think more and more fellow citizens are reaching the conclusion that the whole system is so rotten, brother. You got both parties that are so corrupt with politicians who are tied to big money. This is true for Republicans. It's true for Democrats. You were talking about Brother Trump himself and Biden's connection to Stennis, Biden's connection to Thurman. We know Brother Trump, his own father has been tied to the Klan. Trump's language about black people.
Hold on a second. I've never heard his father.
Racism
Professor, I've never heard that allegation. Never once.
Of Trump.
Now, I know Joe Biden said he didn't want our schools to be integrated and be racial jungles.
No, my brother, you got jewelry. We don't go into all of that now, but I'm not going to say the son has to take responsibility of the father. Oh, no, we have empirical evidence of that in terms of not just how he treated black people in Queens, but also the fact that he took him to Klan rallies. But this is in the history. But we're not talking about his father. God bless his soul. We're talking about Trump himself. Look, for example, the brother Yusuf Salam. You know, Yusuf Salam was one of the Central Park of young brothers who was taken to jail. I was blessed to support him. I live in Harlem. He's now my councilman. What did Brother Trump say about Brother Yusuf? Death penalty,
you made your
not even a fair
though.
trial. I want a fair trial for Trump. I want a fair trial for Trump. Did he want a fair trial for that black brother? No. That's his racism, too. It cuts across the board, Brother Sean.
You're talking to the wrong person here. I don't rush to judgment. I'm the one that says everyone's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. You said that black Americans are not a priority for Joe Biden. That's what you said.
That's right. That's right.
And how real is your run for the presidency? And what is the likelihood the Green Party is going to be on the ballot in all 50 states?
Well, we're in the process, my brother, of gaining that ballot access. And my run for the presidency is the same for my run for truth and justice ever since I was 15 years old, which is to say, is real as a heart attack. Because if I remain silent about mass incarceration, silent about hoods, silent about reservations, silent about poor white and working white folk, silent about the strikes that's taking place, both Trump and Biden on the boss's side when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to UPS, when it comes to Amazon. I stand with working people. I stand with poor people. I don't care what color they are, brother. They could be your cousins or my cousins. I stand in solidarity with them. It's a moral and a spiritual issue, and that's what it means to have a candidacy that's trying to be critical of the corporate duopoly of both parties tied to corrupt money at the top and militarism abroad, my brother.
Now, I don't see Biden ever talking like that. Hell, right now, all I'm hearing from all the other quote-unquote progressive Democrats is that we got to support Biden because Trump. Trump. Because everyone's talking about Trump. Again, I said this on the show in 2020 when we covered the fact when Biden got elected into office that Donald Trump was going to come back. Donald Trump was going to run again in 2024. Now, here he is again. But what is vote blue no matter who? What are people like Kyle telling us to do? That we got to fall in line, that we should not think for ourselves. I don't see Biden being better on the issues. I see Biden being just as bad as Trump. That's why I will vote independent. And that's why I will encourage my audience to consider voting independent third party. If you don't want to vote green, hell, go ahead, vote libertarian or vote independent. And I understand a lot of you are burnt out by electoral politics. So you know what? That's on you too. If you don't want to vote, fine. Don't do it then. But don't let people bully you in telling you how to think or how to feel. Live rent-free in their head. In fact, if you do run into these quote-unquote vote blue no matter who people, and they start shaming you, just look at them and smile and say, thank you for convincing me that I am correct in my decision-making. Thank you for convincing me that I should really vote independent so I could live rent-free in your head. I am the face of your nightmare. That's what you should say to those people. Be the villain. Be the anti-hero. Be the bad guy. It's okay. Do it.
You said it's very clear that Joe Biden's cognitive powers are in decline. Professor, you're stating the obvious. Why won't more people on the left, and you're to me on the left, why won't they have the honesty?
I'm definitely on the left. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. I'm on the left,
Sanders
my
is
brother.
your mentor. You love Bernie. I know all about it.
Well, no. Bernie's my brother, but he's not my mentor. I come out of Martin Luther King Jr. family, New Haven, elevation.
There you go. Hey, correct him. Correct him, Dr. Cornell. Again, Kyle, how does he look like a useful tool? He's correcting Sean Hannity on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News.
You know that. I'll stand corrected, but you like Bernie Sanders a lot.
No.
As you should stand corrected.
All right. So
he's my brother now. Ain't no doubt about that.
Here's what I do want to ask you, though, because I think this is an important question, and I think we should get to the bottom of it. You talked about it's strange that the Secret Service could not identify, a bag of cocaine in the White House. You talked about the slap on the wrist for Hunter Biden. Now, they stopped that investigation into cocaine in the White House in 10 short days, Dr. West. 10 days, Professor. And they didn't interview a single person.
I have to acknowledge something from our YouTube live stream chat. Colin Radix Carter of Indie News Network. Shout out to them. Please follow them on social media as they are being suppressed as well. Kyle forgot that he wrote that the squad, that's AOC and her fantastic friends, should work to take third parties more viable in the Justice Democrats manifesto. Hey, Kyle, you wrote that. Also, Janice Anderson wrote, Social Security was cut under Biden. So Kyle Kulinski is full of caca, pretending the Democratic administration is better to represent at-risk communities. He's such a Democratic sycophant. Also, John Mitchell wrote, I would tell Kyle that actually I think Republicans are slightly better because they don't pretend that they won't F you. Well done. Hey, look, audience, you guys and gals are being brutal, and I love you for it.
Now, that just reeks to me like a cover-up. Why do I believe if it was your White House or Trump's White House or somebody else's White House that treatment wouldn't fly? Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right about that. I don't know about Trump's White House. I can't speak for brother from my White House, and I've told my
you
beloved
almost
wife,
called them brother Trump.
I'm not even going to the White House until every American citizen has a house. I want to abolish poverty, abolish homelessness. I want jobs with a living wage. I want everybody to have health care across the board. So in terms of just trying to be fair, but let me say this though, brother. Every father does have a right to love their precious son. It's just that your son cannot have unequal protection. He's got to have equal protection across the board. So I understand the brother's predicament, but we have to be able to bring our criticism to bear. And I hope you bring it to bear, my brother, with some love now, because you got
a lot of love
too,
in my heart. You know me for how many years?
Right,
a lot of love in
that
this
out
heart.
as much as I can.
You don't even like to admit,
my brother.
You love me more than you want to admit publicly. Just say it. You can say it.
Oh no! I'm a Christian. I love everybody. I begin on the south side of town because my mom and dad. But I love everybody. I love you too. It's just
believe in Jesus like you do.
You against the wall. Any racism, any transphobia, homophobia, and
I am against
indifference
any
working
racism. I find it repugnant and evil. End of sentence. And no conservative that thinks that way or says they think that way, I want nothing to do with them. Dr. West, we'll follow your campaign. Thank you.
Shout out to Dr. Cornell West for speaking truth to power. And again, look, Fox News is a very large media platform. And in order to run a successful campaign, you need as many eyeballs and ears to listen and follow. Okay? It's politics 101. And let's face it, third parties constantly get suppressed by corporate media, by the political system. There are so many roadblocks that prevent the Greens, Libertarians, and Independents from being on the ballot and being on the debate stage. In my state right now, the Green Party currently is not on the ballot. And in Illinois, again, I just want to say we are pretty draconian towards third parties. When I've interviewed Illinois Libertarians and Illinois Green Party members, the story is always the same. And I want to drill this in everyone's head, especially if you are a Green Party or Libertarian Party supporter in the state of Illinois. You need to get at least, at the bare minimum, 20,000 or at least 50,000 signatures just to secure your said candidate to be on the ballot, to be on the debate stage. There are many laws and policies and roadblocks that you have to face through in order to secure a third-party candidate to be on the ballot here in Illinois. And that's a problem nationwide. I don't like the two-party system. I despise it. I despise the hypocrisy of the Democrats. I despise the fact that you have people who are bullying other people and telling them not to think for themselves or vote independent. I encourage Dr. Cornel West to go on as many different platforms as possible, to go back onto Fox News, to go on all the media platforms. He should, because that's his job as running for the candidacy and the nomination for the Green Party. And should he get it, that should be his main job, to get as many people to listen to his words, to listen to his campaign. Because what I want to see happen, I want to see the Greens become successful. I want to see the Libertarians also become successful. Why? Because I am consistent in my point of view and what I believe in. I believe that we need to have third parties. I believe that the American people need another choice. And yes, I'll even go that step further. Knowing that people are so repulsed by Democrats and Republicans, I could see in this election year, the Green Party and Libertarian Party making significant gains. But in order for that to happen, people need to take the initiative and step forward. Don't let people like Kyle or Vote Blue no matter who tell you that, oh, you're just being a useful tool to the Republican Party. No, you're not. If you're going to vote for Green, you're voting for a Green Party candidate because they earned your vote. If you're going to vote for a Libertarian Party candidate, you're voting for them because that Libertarian Party candidate earned your vote. Politics 101. And if that triggers Vote Blue no matter who, well, then go look at your own party and ask them, why are they crap in the bed? Why are people so disgusted with Democrats? Joe Biden was right. Nothing will fundamentally change. And it didn't. It just got worse. And I, for one, encourage people to think for themselves. Break away from the two-party system. You don't owe the Democrats your vote, and you sure as hell don't owe the Republicans your vote. They're supposed to work for us. And since they don't like us, since they don't respect us, since they don't think about us, you shouldn't respect the Democratic Party or the Republican Party.